Okay, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of a body review for a Dollmore kid. This is just a basic rundown of his joints and kind of give you a little bit of information about the company. There's Aaron back there laying in bed. But keep in mind this is a pre-owned doll, so his joints may not work the same as one that would be fresh from the company, basically brand new. This one is not new. He doesn't show any yellowing or anything, but he looks fine to me. I don't see any damage. And he's been sueded and restrung, and he actually does need some new elastic for his legs because they're way too tight, and there's no way to loosen it. So, I'm going to start off by giving you some stats. His height is a 43.5 centimeter. The head that he came with is the Sona head, and that's pretty average. It's an 18.7 centimeter, and he takes a 7/8 wig, and 14 millimeter eyes, which is pretty average as well. The neck circumference, right here, that is at 7.8, and his bust is an 18 centimeter. From shoulder to shoulder, it is 6.5. Waist is 15.5, and his hips are 18.5, and his feet are supposed to be a 6.0, but if you actually measure from the back of his heel all the way up to the toe, it's almost 7 centimeters. Here, I'll do that real quick right here on camera. So I'm going to stick this right on the back of his heel and pull it all the way up to his toe. And just a little shy of 7 centimeters. So that's not entirely accurate on the site. One thing I'm going to tell you right now, he does have seams. They're kind of light and a little hard to notice in some places and are a little bit prominent in others. Dollmore does not sand their dolls unless you pay for it. The sanding fee or service is $65, or you can just do it yourself using wet dry sandpaper, and of course paying it very close attention to what the grid of it is. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for. Now we're going to get down to his joints. Here is how this is strung. I'm not sure exactly how Dollmore does it, but I choose not to have the knot at the top because it makes it difficult to get it through his head. The knot often gets stuck in this teeny tiny hole, which is, there's some sueding in there. And here is his S-hook. His legs are just strung like normal, just the loop that goes straight down through his legs, and then the loop that goes this way. So it's pretty standard. His shoulders are just the ball and socket, and he's got double jointed elbows, and you can kind of see a couple little dots right here, which is kind of interesting, and there's some more that are inside the joint. The elbow joints are not sueded, so that's kind of interesting, and there's one dot on the side and inside there. I'm not exactly sure what those do, so that's interesting. And you see that there's this chunk of resin that actually covers the double joints. I have my Miu who has that on her knees, so that's something I was kind of familiar with, but she's different than a ball-jointed doll. And you go down to his wrist, there's a floating piece right here, and then the hook is this little piece of resin. And he is wearing the basic hand set. This is what the right hand looks like. And here is the left hand. And they do have fingernails. He has pretty good range of movement for his arms. He can do the whole touch of face thing, and he holds his poses pretty good with his arms. And here's another spot where there's some sueding. And if you kind of want to lock his arm up in a position, move it like this, and it locks pretty well. You don't see it flopping back down, and you kind of have to turn it this way to get it to go back to normal. You can't just push it down. It doesn't let you. Okay, now I'm going to let you get a good look at that torso. So here's what his torso looks like, and you can kind of see a cute little belly button. And he's got some good range of movement. He can slouch forward pretty good and slouch back, although he would hold those positions better if I got him some new elastic for his legs. He doesn't really stay forward like he should with his legs. So leaning forward like this is pretty much a no-go. And now we're going to remove the underwear so you can look at his leg joint, like right here in his hips. So, doll nudity warning. Alright. So here's what his legs look like. There's no swivel joints or anything like that. So there's just normal piece, and he has sueding in there too. And of course, in there. Then you get down to his knees, they're just a single joint, and they hold poses like this really, really well. You just kind of have to be careful about having them out straight, because it's really hard to get him to stand with how floppy this particular doll's legs are. But like I said, with some stringing and being fixed like that, like it should be, he should probably stand just fine, and he won't be as picky as my doll is. And here's his little feet. I'm going to show you the joints there. There's the floating piece, and there is a hook down in there. This is a little bit of a pain in the butt. You can see some more dots inside the joint right here. I would recommend, if you have a doll like this and it doesn't have any small S-hooks, to go ahead and get some for this joint, because this joint is extremely hard to attach without them. I managed it, but it's difficult. And you see his leg just kind of went up like that. And because it's what's strung through his torso, it makes it a little difficult for him to sit properly. So that's pretty much it for his joints. And I'm going to kind of show you what else he came with from Dollmore. These are what they refer to as the fist hands. They're kind of cute, and you can see the little wrinkles on the fingers and the knuckles, and there's some great definition in those little hands. And the palms are well defined. And you can see the little lines on these hands. They're beautifully sculpted, just like his little feet. These are the flat feet, obviously. And they are definitely going to need a little bit of sanding, so I can see the crease right there. So, yeah, those are the seam lines. And the bottom is fairly flat, but there's some great definition in those toes. And he's got some great toenails. And of course, these are the center pieces for the hands that came with the fist hands. This is pretty much what the Dollmore manual looks like. And of course, Dollmore is a Korean company, and so their manual is in Korean, and I can't read it, but I have it anyways. And here is his certificate of authenticity, and it says limited edition, and I'm thinking that the reason that it says that is his face-up is completely different from the Sona that's on the site now, and I'm wondering if his face-up was what was limited, or whatever. I really have no idea. But, like I said, I got him secondhand, so there's some questions there that still have not been fully answered. But he's got an adorable little face, and he did not come with these eyelashes on. I attached them myself, and I believe that they do put them on for the company. At least they have them displayed on the pictures. for the company, and here's a closer look at the face-up. The company face-up that they have up on the website now is much more prominent than this. This is fairly light and subtle for the face-up, so there's that. Here's what the inside of his head looks like. There's a little hook on the inside that you can hook the S-hook onto if you want to, but I choose not to. And there's the Dollmore doll insignia, and what that says in there is Dollmore. www.dollmore.com, 2005 Dollmore all rights reserved. Then right here on the inside it has a stamp, quite hard to see, but it says Sona, and underneath of it says Dollmore. And there's a couple little pegs on each side, and there's a magnet at the top and bottom, and you can kind of see the holes for the pegs and the magnet here. And there's just a little hole right here with the groove, so that's just where the S-hooks sit. A pretty good doll, all in all, and I'm going to do a couple comparisons here real quick. Okay, so as you know, the only other doll at the moment I have is my Miyu, and she's actually a Volks EV Beauty, but I'm going to kind of give you an idea of how tall she is compared to him. So let's tilt this up just a little bit. Sorry, I'm using my webcam. She comes up to about his hip, so he's still significantly taller. Tip that up a little bit more. There's the difference. And of course, I'm going to show you this way to compare it to my left head. They're both fairly large, but I find the easier way to kind of show you the huge difference. This is the left Shiwu head, and this is supposed to be one of their belts. And this is just my Sona's head cap. So yeah, there's a huge difference, and for me this is a big doll, so I'm kind of a little afraid to find out exactly how big the SDs are. Obviously I know what their measurements are, but I've never, you know, seen one in person. At least not since I was 14, so I don't really remember exactly how big they are, and I'm kind of terrified to find out. And yes, I do have several SDs on my wish list. But this is my boy. I absolutely love him and I adore him. I hope that maybe this was a little bit useful, so you can kind of get the idea of what you can expect from a Dollmore doll that happens to be from their kid line. So yeah.